The scene here, we are 007s. We have some houses, 3 right now, but you know, the majority are 007s. So, except from the fact that of course, you don't have to rush to get in a house, that from my perspective, a lot of people rush right now. So, what do you give us as an advice to find the right time or the right person to join a house?
It will be the people that you are most closest to. In my perspective, that was my choice. It was the people that I dealt with. It was my family, my sisters. Had we met before I started ballroom, I might have been in the same house with Jack. You know, had we had bonded like that. So it's the people that you connect with that you want, because you got to remember, a house is another version. It's a team. It's a team, and when you say team, it's not about one person. It's about the collective, what you guys come together and represent. So that's how you pick your house. The people that represent what you represent most, the people that you bond with most, and the people that you trust and that trust you most. That's where I would choose to be in a house with, because the name is just the label. The quality comes from the people.
And again, yeah, you're right about that too. And it's the pride of having, when I first went to London, I said to them, before ballroom even really blew up there, and I said to them in London, I said, create your own houses. Create your house that comes, yeah, you can have extensions of the houses in the US, because it's great, but create something that you can be proud, that can say, this is an original house from London, like you guys did here. You know, like the lingeries did in Paris, you know, they had their own, it's your own idea. And when you're looking to join other houses, don't think just because you walk face, you have to be a Mugler, or you have to be a Gucci for Sex Siren, or you have to be a Basquiat for Vogue Femme, or you have to be a Lambent for Runway, or you know what I'm saying? Pick what's good for you. Who do you bond with? Which leaders have you met and have an okay rapport, you know? And then as you're doing that, some things happen in different chapters in other places. Do not let just because an argument happened in the US chapter of, you know, Bottega to affect what happens into the Greece chapter here, you know. But make sure that you are communicating with these people. Don't just join a house for name value, or you think somebody's gonna give you an extra look because you're in that house. And also, those of you who aren't winning yet, those of you who are still walking and trying to find yourself, remember the house that took you first. Remember the house that turned the other way when you got chopped and said, it's okay, you'll be better. Don't look at the house who, after you became fab, to start saying, hey girl, come here, we got something for you. Those girls didn't stick up with you. You know? Yeah, we have something for you. You know, in my experience, I've held my head high, walking with different people who have different experiences different experiences in ballroom. Yes, you can get chopped for 3 years in a row. Some of the best icons today, that's what they had to go through, okay? And look at them now, right? So for me, I tell my kids, I appreciate you walking, and I'm so thankful that you walk the floor. If you win, hooray. If you don't, it's okay, but I'm watching. It's how you get back on the horse for me. A lot of houses want all winners, and those are not realistic houses.
Yeah, for me is, I always tell people to pay attention to nurture. You know, go someplace where you can be nurtured, but you can also give back as well. You know, I've met people, my daughter Trace, my daughter Leonie, a lot of my kids, I just met them, you know. I met Trace at a ball one day, and I was like, come here, you know. And that's my girl, like my girl, you know. Leonie's my girl, you know. So sometimes you develop really strong connections by chance, you know. But you really have to pay attention when you go someplace. Am I being nurtured? Can I give this person something and give something back? So.
And you never want to lose a child. I want to piggyback on what he says, right? You never want to lose somebody you've developed or you've grown that bond with. But there's such a thing as too as being a selfless parent. Because yes, when we first met Trace, and I remember the first day I met Trace, my daughter Barbie met Trace. And I was like, I love her. I want her. She was an angel. She was in his house, angel, and she went to the house along with him. And then finally when Trace decided that she was going to be a 007, Trace walked like 2 walls at a 007, right? Giselle's wall and then somebody else's. And I remember we started figuring out, I was like, I want her. Finally, the time is right for me to bring Trace in, for her to become the mother of the house in Mizrahi in New York. And the thing about ballroom is the best kept secrets are always the most powerful things on the floor. And I'll never forget that Trace had the conversation with Stanley and said, what do you think? And Stanley said, Jack wants you. What you said? Go. Because he's going to take care of you.
Yes.
And the night she was getting debuted, we spoke about it, we brought her out, and we've never looked back. You know, so there's sometimes you are going to allow somebody to do something because it is best for them. Because at the time, there was nothing Trace was going to do as a Milan anymore. It was all done. And so, you know, sometimes you do have to let your butterflies fly. And sometimes some birds fly the coop and they go somewhere else and they land in their backyard and they realize like, oh, these girls are full of shit. And then they want to come back this way. But sometimes I have Windex glasses on. Sometimes you go slam right into that window.
Maybe I can speak also without.
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
Okay. So I have a question about a category, and this comes from my own perception, so I'm not saying that it is like that. And it is about sex siren. I have traveled around Europe and I mostly watch balls from the US, and I feel that there is a difference in the way that it's served in the US versus the Europe. So I feel that in the US it's most commonly about serving the essence, and sometimes in Europe it's much more choreographed, or it's much more like a performance kind of thing. So I would like to know from you if you also see this kind of difference, and what is the thing that you prefer to see in the category, or if you have any opinion on that.
I've walked sex siren in. I've definitely seen different versions, but I feel like it's all about your interpretation of sexy. Some people's interpretation of sexy is choreographed. When we see performances from, you know, like a singer's on stage and they have dancers that are doing choreographed moves that are sexy. Sometimes strippers do choreographed things and it's still sexy. So it's all about your interpretation of sexy. And even when I'm judging a sex siren category, I judge it from my perspective of what I think is sexy. And sometimes choreographed is more sexy, and sometimes freelance is sexy. So to me, I kind of don't even look at it like that. I just see what is it sexy or is it not? That's the true question. Whether it's choreographed or not, is it sexy?
But it's also an essence. If you're worried about, I'm going to put my foot here, and I'm going to put my arm here, and then I'm going to do this and do that, it starts to look robotic. The reason we fell in love with the sex sirens that we watch in the world, Marilyn Monroe, she oozed sex. You know, Jessica Rabbit, she oozed sex. It's a presence. It's a feeling. And there is a difference when you are in that mode and you're seeing somebody just lost in selling it, as opposed to thinking about what they should do. There's a bigger difference, right? So those of you that are walking it, ooze it. And I think here you've let this whole mind thing into your heads that people are videotaping you and it's going to go out and it's going to make it. Listen, if you don't want to be videotaped, do not walk the category, because you're limiting yourself. There's a lot of people who do a lot of nice effects that don't get a chance to see themselves on the floor or on the runway because a girlfriend couldn't tape it. You know, you have some people that are filming that don't tape all the categories sometime. So I think you can't let what the outside world or what outside people do with our clips. If that's the case, we'll never post anything. You know, if that's the case, we'll never see our Vogue femmes in their cunty outfits because they're afraid where the clip is gonna go. Get out your head. You came to ball to be free. Do not let other things constrict you.
torture device? God damn it. Guys, did y'all have that damn funny petite chairs? Ooh.
European fun.
Yeah. I need 20.
It's for European booty. It's for European
okay.
booty,
Well,
yeah.
So I think there's a difference, and I always tell
oh,
people.
thank you. That's how you treat a wife.
I think, yeah, the choreography thing and the more organic looking one, yeah, the choreographed one, you're not gonna believe it. It looks too dancey. I think you can choreograph something, but if you can't choreograph something and then make it look organic and natural, yeah, work on it a little more. Don't do it right now. Yeah, it needs to look. We need to be like, oh, this is the siren right here. No, this is a hot Britney piece.
Yeah.
No,
She did that toxic.
right. Yeah. It looks too choreographed. Also, I noticed in Europe, I was judging a sex siren category in Finland, and I think sometimes you get the categories over here, and then you pick certain things out of it instead of keeping it to its main, like its base foundation. The person was like, oh, they didn't do this. Like they're looking for them to do specific things.
Elements.
Yeah, like relax. It's sex siren. Like, ooh, who looks? I've seen people walk sex siren like Vanessa Frost. What house he in? Mugler. And that lady can literally just walk up to the judges and it's 10s down, hands down. She is a sexy bitch. Mm-hmm. And then I've seen other people walk sex siren and they all this, they got to do a lot to get that point across. So yeah, you either have it or you don't. But the choreography thing, no.
And in every category, right, there's a mentality called leaving the building. Leaving the building means like when you just left your head, like you're not even on the runway no more because you are so in tune with how you're turning it, whether you're walking or you're voguing or you're selling it, that you don't have time to be, planning what you're doing next because you're just already in that zone. So that's one of the first things we used to say to people when we came to Europe and we were training or rewriting some of the wrongs that were done in the trainings earlier along. It was like, don't concentrate on counting 1, 2, 3 because we can tell. Yeah. Anybody who's from the scene can tell you're counting your steps. Leave the building, leave your mind. Now, I'm not saying go crazy. I said, Jack told me to leave the building. No, bitch. That's not what I said.
That's what I was telling them earlier about counting when you're voguing. Like, I actually honestly started counting once I started teaching. But before that, I ain't never count. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is the beat. That's the beat I'm going to hit. So yeah, leave the building.
I think, yeah, we got,
I want to ask one question. So, okay, about the non-binary people. We have limited categories for us. So, I know it's a new one, our generation, but I want to ask you, it's that different for here and outside the borough? For nobody people, like categories, actually.
I'm glad you said that. With my cake. On the West, we have just voted in GNC categories. So we have GNC Runway, we have GNC Face, and I want...
Performance.
sorry, can you tell me about GNC? Because
Gender non-conforming.
Oh, okay, so non-binary.
I am non-binary, but GNC, I didn't know the...
Gender non-conforming.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's gender non-conforming. So gender non-conforming and non-binary are hand in hand.
Sorry?
They go hand in hand. Okay. Oh my God. So what was I saying? Oh, so yeah, we just voted to put it in, but you have to advocate for what you want. So if you guys have an alliance here, and we would have never, us being people that were already used to what we were doing and going with our regularly scheduled program, we never would have thought of even adding those things in until they advocated for it, and then we figured out how to make it work. How is that going to work? There's certainly everything Gen Z. Every category is not meant for Gen Z.
Right now.
Right now, we're still working on it. We're trying to figure out how to, but it takes your input for us to understand. Like it took a Gen Z person to even give us the breakdown of how to judge Gen Z and what Gen Z is to them. They had to tell us, well, it's a bit of this, a bit of that. They had to break it down for us to understand what we will be judging them by. And then they brought it and we voted it in, and now we have it. So you have to advocate for what you want in ballroom, because we are our people. So there's not like we're going to close the door in your face. We are us.
And when you see these categories, walk it. Because there's a lot of times that we put these categories on. As a promoter, like Devine says, everything from trans man realness or trans man categories, people who just don't want to walk the norm. So we've had trans man runway, we've had trans man best dress, we've had trans man Vogue, and you don't see the turnout. I try not to take it off because I want them to always know it's going to be there. Same thing with GNC. We started off with face and best dress. Now we're moving into runway. Now we're moving, we have performance. Now we're going to move into sex siren. So if we see there's a need and you all are going to come, and I don't care if one or just two people or just one person walks, as long as somebody represent it, so that way now there is a benchmark, there's a mark. People can see, oh, this person won, and then maybe the next time we'll see 2 or 3. So I'm patient with it growing, but walk.
You gotta remember that ballroom is about opening doors, so you have to open the door so the people behind you are able to walk in it. So that's it. So now you have a task.
I got a question from the live, and it's actually quite a good question. Do you think there's more pressure at balls, which leads to a lot of people not walking due to social media?
Yes.
Yes.
Social media has changed the chop. It's changed the chop for sure. Back in the day when you got chopped, it took a while for the word to get around. If you weren't at the ball, you didn't hear about it. If it was at, way back in the 90s, you have to wait till the VHS to come out to relive your nightmare. And it doesn't help that you have the commentators reading too as you get chopped, right? Walk For Me Wednesdays became the shade board. After that, you would have to see it on there. So as communication started getting faster, the chop became more instantaneous. So the embarrassment of before you get off the runway, 50,000 people had already seen it. Your girlfriend's already texting, girl, I told you not to walk. You're getting all this feedback. So it's that, but at the end of the day though, it's that you can't avoid it. That is the part of it. That is what ballroom is. Not everybody's gonna get 10s, not everybody's going to win. So the chop should make you stronger. The chop should not be the end of the world. You can get chopped for 3 years straight, but the day that you win, all those chops won't mean anything else than what they mean now. They built you up. So all these bad reactions of people, and there's a lot of people with trauma, and that go crazy because they got chopped and they don't think they should. But most judges, and if you're a fair judge, you're judging fairly. Like the other day I had an issue at my ball because for me as a promoter of all these years,